Hey guys, we're back here for another Dynamite review. Of course, we have a crap show. We open with of course back then I think it was Elevation. Kenny Omega screwed over Matt Sydal in a certain type of way where in that promo involving Tony Khan, he was like, "It was a gentleman's agreement. It's a gentleman's agreement." Oh my god, you're gonna make me cry. It's another review of Dynamite. Somebody said that was a 5 out of 10. Oh my god, I think I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Kenny, you better live up. You get Matt Sydal next week on Dynamite. And oh my god, he is so bad. I can see why he's not that much of an in-ring personality than on Impact Wrestling, because he knows he's the biggest cuck out of most of the mid-card cucks in your show. Like, most of your former world champions are like cruiserweight champions, other than Chris Jericho, that looks like a stepmother, just became a substitute teacher and sadly failed an abortion. And then we got John Moxley, that looks like a crack fiend, and Kenny Omega, that looks like if Paul London French kissed Brian Kendrick and Brian Pillman, then fusion danced. So we open with a World Championship Eliminators match. So if Matt Sydal wins next week, he gets an opportunity for the AEW World Championship on Dynamite against Kenny Omega. Obviously, nobody believed that he was going to win this match. Like that time when they put Joey Janela against Kenny Omega for a world title match, even though he didn't even earn it. Like, he's not even in the top 5. So rankings don't even technically matter over the sports-based BS. The match was okay. I'm not gonna say that the match was bad. It ended obviously with a one-winged angel. There was a cool reverse Hurricane Rana from the top. Too many B triggers. The match was just a basis on just kicks, Hurricane Ranas and kicks. You could really even tell they were gonna sell anything to actually make this match more worthwhile. And it just ended with Kenny picking up the victory. And then we had this Joe Pesci, lipo, weirdo Italian Guido with a pedo stash, Caesar Benini against, and somehow Ryan Namath and whoever JD Drake is coming around being in his corner. There's probably some dark jobber group against Hangman on Page for no reason. Other than he affiliates now with the Dark Order. That's technically what they're supplying to. They even had a backstage segment. It's like, oh, we're gonna have a match. We're gonna. I don't care. What's the benefit of being with the Dark Order? I mean, I can understand Dark Order gets a known face on Dynamite. I get it, but it's just, what's the point? What's the cultist feature if they're feeling so sympathetic and such losers or jobbers? This match lasted for like as much time as it shouldn't have. Just a lot of headlocks countering off clotheslines until the buckshot lariat. Like, I think we were 6 minutes in, and this was about to reach over commercial break. And it's like, no, don't do this for a squash match. What's legitimizing over your roster? You're gonna put them squash matches, even though like we're like years in. You don't do that. You put them on a legit, at least undercarder on your roster to make your guy look good. I don't care who Caesar Benini is. And obviously, it looks like the commentary didn't care themselves. Of course, we had one of the better segments also in the show. Tony Giovanni interviewing again Britt Baker. It's been a couple, like, possibly near a year since we've seen stuff like this. Because like, I like the match for Thunder Rosa. I disagree with over the semblance that you can make a match look bloodied. I mean, it's overall the show gets low ratings. And a possibility, like, maybe it got the lowest rating because nobody wants to see two women bloody themselves up in a fight. But it's at least a legitimate grudge match, and it's going to make these women look like actual legitimate characters than what we see out of the Chojin counterparts of the women's division. But I can understand the sentiment that possibly it's not their cup of tea. Usually it's not my cup of tea either. But she comes around scamming over Thunder Rosa and how she doesn't belong in the locker room, but congratulating her at the same time out of winning the unsanctioned match. and Britt Baker claiming that Mick Foley 20 years ago become a hardcore legend, something that she did in one night, and she turned the attention to Tony Khan, criticizing him for signing uh signing a legend after when you know under her nose. I don't know what she was complaining about. Possibly Christian. Also, Frankie Kazarian in the backstage segment after there was supposedly a 6-man tag. Oh, what happened? There was, of course, Christian giving some advice to the young jobbers backstage until Frankie Kazarian stopped him and tried to issue like, when is he gonna compete? Then trying to intimidate him off match he's gonna see over at Elevation. Like, dude, it's like 10 to 14 matches. I'm not seeing that garbage. So it looks like they're gonna focus on the first match that Christian's gonna have against Frankie Kazarian. So it's a familiar TNA original. He comes also over calling himself also an AEW original. So it's supposed to factor it out that he's the big veteran around here. At least he's gonna be with a guy that he's familiar with over in the ring. And Christian looks to be in good shape, so uh, I'm alright, but it feels like they're devaluing like their top of the line signings against like lower mid cards after you just made him hype up that he's going to be challenging for the like a probably a future contender for the world title. And then we had the three 3/5 of the Pinnacle face off against the Hollywood Blondes and Dante Brown of Top Flight. So it was Sean Spears, FTO. Sean Spears got the most offense delivered by all three jobbers, like drop kicks, hit over to the apron. He hits over Death Valley Driver. It was like this, and FTR was just hitting the most offense out of Sean Spears, and he still comes around capitulating as a jobber, even though you're literally part of potentially the next top big heel faction in the show. So it's bad that you look bad like getting double suplex and then like suplex around, drop kicked, clothesline, getting dished out the most offense. So it's obvious like you're getting treated as like a jobber on the major heel faction. So it was pointless. I mean, yes, they still ended up with a win, but it felt so low counted, especially against guys that don't even have official contracts except one half of Top Flight. That I don't even know why they have them if they're not that affiliated as names on AEW. They also have this segment involving like Eddie Kingston over the Elite giving him a leg injury last week. Uh, that giving over his same promo issuing with Moxley looking over in the background with looking at the Shane's like he's coming out of a big hangover. Then they had Don Callis then criticizing Young Bucks after not standing tall with them. Like, okay, they're trying to bring some dimension into the group, even though they helped them out before. Oh, because they're friends with. I don't care. This is so like Bush League storytelling. And then they have like Don Callis, like anybody that's just watching the show don't watch New Japan as much as they do AEW. So they don't know who the Young Bucks are. They don't know what they did in Japan. That doesn't make them overly legitimate if they fight somewhere else. Especially if they're not even mainstream other than they possibly know what the Bullet Club are. So he's like Don Callis is referencing stuff out of nowhere just to give this false pretense that somebody's going to take the Young Bucks as a prime name, or because they did something in another promotion that they never heard of in a different country. Like, you see the problem here. So there was also the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler in a 6-man tag. Yes, we have another multi-man tag. We're also gonna get like a plethora of them next week, involving. By the way, guess who's came back? Laredo Kid with the Lucha Bros in a 6-man tag. Uh, dude, this match was just all right. Like, we still have the ultra choreographed move sets out of freaking the Young Bucks, especially over the head scissors, senton, senton, senton. Then there was a brain buster. I think there was an assist over a drop kick into a pile driver so early into the match. I was like, wait, isn't that their finish? And especially over a quick Meltzer driver, they no-sold it like 2 minutes on just so they can do an aerial assault move. Brandon Cutler comes around to getting dished on over the same offense. It looked bad. I think the Lucha Bros still picked up over the victory with a super kick and then a super kick, a double super kick after like Kenny tried to help out, talking some sense into the Young Bucks. That's practically it. That's all that happens. Kenny gets his ass kicked with a bloody nose, and it seems like there seems to be some dissension, some issues with the best friends of the Elite. I don't care. There's also this thing involving QT Marshall. First of all, and no disrespect, this is obviously no personal attack on the guy, but who gives a shit about QT Marshall? Like, what? When was this guy essentially brung up other than he tags with Dustin Rhodes, and then over the last few weeks, without any semblance of build, over most of the betrayals that happened involving Allie, then somehow he just starts off like walking away since Revolution from just a few weeks ago, and now he has an issue over being in the shadow of the of the Rhodes family. It's like, okay, I can understand it. Basic storyline involving like an important part of the group, like you were being part, and you were in the shadow. Except no one knows who the hell QT Marshall is, or that essentially build. Like no one gives a shit that if QT Marshall is going to cheat or focus on the arm injury of Cody, because no one cares who QT Marshall is, and they just walk it over. Cody's like, okay, you want a match? Okay, I'm sorry, I just kissed my dog real quick. Yeah, we'll have a match because you're my best friend. You deserve it. I'm not openly gay because I have this bleached blonde haircut that makes me look like I'm also secretly sucking dudes off in the corner. It's so lackluster that it feels without drama. If it was like somebody more reasonable, like Dustin Rhodes, to rekindle a rivalry because he's felt like he's been the back burner of the Rhodes family and the Nightmare family, that would be more relatable, and that would technically be more effective because it's going to be brother against brother. But people are going to just reference me some garbage that happened back at the first Double or Nothing pay per view for no reason. And this is just to forcibly make QT Marshall with a bald spot, looking like a head coach that already got cheated on twice on his wife, coming around just bitching about being in a certain circumstance, even though he has nothing to make him stand out, other than he comes whining and complaining that he's in the shadow of the Nightmare family. Okay, what is QT Marshall? Boring ass, stupid storyline. We also have Ty Conti picking up a surprising victory against Nyla Rose, and I was a bit shocked myself. This match lasted as long as it didn't for a woman that's not even that much established as a top star over in the women's division, like getting a one-up clean no less on a former women's champion. And I don't know if this was built over by anything, cool dropkick, head scissors, that stupid knee drop over the top rope Nyla Rose always does that I feel like he's going to concuss somebody soon. There was a crazy pump kick. Conti escaped the beast bomb a few times. And then she uses, oh my god, it was actually a big win. And then Bad Bunny, then the bunny came out. Ali comes assaulting Ty Conti and stuff, and then the Hardy family now has Nyla Rose. Like I don't care. Uh, I don't even know where this is essentially established when we don't even know that much about what Matt Hardy's trying to accomplish, and they just won off his feud over with Hangman Adam Page just to tease over what the hell he's doing with the Jobber Order. I don't really care what Matt hardly can think because of his concussion is doing over with this Hardy faction. All we know is Ali is going to be back in the tag team action next week with the plethora of tag team matches that mean nothing. We also have the TNT title match. Literally, this was the TNT main event. This was the main event of the show, people. Darby Allin versus John Silver. Baby arm John Silver coming around. Like, do it. Like, he gorilla pressed. Like, we understand Darby is worth $150. I mean, can weigh over $150, and he comes around getting gorilla pressed and tossed all over the ring, drop kick. I think there was a spot over when he was trying to do like a suicide dive, and he tossed over the guardrail. Looks like he hit his head pretty tough because I heard there was an injury on the paper on the night, or involving AEW star. It has to be John Silver. He suffered what looked to be a tough injury. Drop kick. And it was like Sting coming over and the Dark Order trying to help, even though they barely interfere over in the match, and you suspect the Dark Order to be more cheatingness and try to abuse the ref or something. They barely effectively did anything required cheating unless it involved like helping up John Silver when he goes down. So the point of this was just Sting to come out because Darby has the numbers against them, even though they're not doing anything illegal in the match. He ends up taking over another surprise roll up victory against a guy literally beneath him. And he takes it like he's countering over like the coffin drop. They even did these stupid segments involving him pretending that he's doing a trust fall and getting caught by every part of him, and he's trying to dodge out the way. He takes a springboard coffin drop, barely gets a count, and they don't sell that over that the coffin drop is going to be that much of a major factor over most of the show. They don't even try to do anything to restrict it. The match was just move, 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 dumps move over to the outside with a lackluster threat, and because we know Darby was going to retain. That is so underwhelming. And by the way, there was also Team Taz that was even with a promo before going over like, you think this is going to stop? This is only the beginning. And then Brian Cage, there wasn't even a disagreement over what happened with Brian Cage giving the enemy respect after a tough loss on pay-per-view. And like, oh god, it just feels like nothing eventful happened on this episode of Dynamite. Oh, I understand this is a late review, but it's at least coming out. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. That's it for me. I just felt like this episode was trash. Get it out of my face.